We're recording, so she'll be fine. I'm sure she'll be
All
back.
right, I'm just going to read my spiel anyway. All
Mhm.
right, so right to know law meeting. As chair of the select board, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis and in accordance with the Governor Sununu's emergency order number 12 pursuant to the executive order of 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note there is no physical location to observe and listen to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are providing public access. We're using Google Meet's platform with electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate during this meeting through the Google Meets platform, and the public has access to listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through the dialing of the following number: 1-401-589-5664, and password is 230292-632 hashtag, or by clicking on the following website address: meet.google.com/ddx-apoj-xfy. We previously gave notice to the public on how to access the meeting using Google Meets, and the instructions are provided on the town website at rollinsford.nh.us. If anybody has a problem, please call 534-1049 or email at admin@rollinsford.nh.us. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes are to be taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking the roll call attendance. Each member states their presence, and also please state whether there's anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. So I will take the roll call vote. Miles?
Present and alone.
Paul?
Present and alone.
And I am present and alone. All right, so, okay, so we're at community input. Is there anybody here in the community want to give any input? How many people are in community?
Just Nancy.
Nancy, okay. I'm assuming she doesn't. All right, department heads. Fire's not here yet, right?
Not
Nope.
here yet.
Okay, so we'll go highway, and George is here. So George, you're on mute though, so please unmute yourself.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you all?
Hello.
Oh, good. How are you?
I am just peachy. All I have tonight is a PO for there's some low-hanging trees on Sligo Road. There's about 10 of them that are getting closer to, if a tractor trailer goes by, they are bound to hit them and do some significant damage to the trucks. Got a PO for $2,200 from Urban to take care of about 10 of them low-hanging branches. They keep coming down closer to the road every day, so we'd like to get rid of them. So I got a PO from under the tree maintenance budget of $2,200. There's about $4,500 left in that account.
So
Right.
I have a. Okay, go
Why
ahead.
don't I move it first?
Go ahead.
Please?
Yeah, move it, please.
I'll move. Move purchase order 1832 to Urban Tree for $2,200 for tree trimming on Sligo Road.
All right.
I'll second that.
Okay. George, I have a question. There's a bunch of trees like on Clement Road that have ribbons around them. Are those expected to be taken down by another person for another reason, or is there someone coming in and?
I think someone is actually doing a survey. Are you talking next to the big field that the house sits way back in the field?
No, there's a lot of trees throughout Rollinsford that have ribbons on them.
Okay.
And
that would
I
be
didn't know if
Eversource.
someone was coming, if it was Eversource coming in, and if so, should we be doing this right now? Can we wait and see if that might be part of it? I hate to pay the price if Eversource is going to take care of it.
No, there was 2 other trees that Eversource, Eversource ain't taking anything on right now because of COVID. I talked to them last week. There was 2 of them at the corner of Sligo and Woods Run that are dead, that Ed gave me a quote on, but I want to hold off on them so we can have Eversource. So it's definitely going to take their power lines out if it comes down. So I'm trying to talk with them to take care of them. These here are branches that have nothing to do with the power lines, the ones I'm trying to get taken care of here, because they're hanging low enough that a box truck or a tractor trailer comes down Sligo Road, they're apt to hit it with the trailer or the box truck. So
Okay.
before they get much lower, we need to take care of them before we have another issue. None of them can pertain to power lines.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to check and make sure we're not going to do something and then someone might have else taken care of it on our behalf.
Anything that's flagged with that is tagged is Eversource, I believe, are trying to get as much done as they can. However, like I said, I called last week and they're not grabbing anything new from anybody until, of course, they had the storm since then, so they probably have new stuff, but
Yeah.
they don't want to grab anything right now until things get squared away. There's too many, they get too many things holding them up with COVID.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that.
Um,
Thank you.
George,
Yes.
it might be a good idea. Could you tell the board what's going on with the cemetery, that tree there in the cemetery? And is that not included in this, or do you have a separate plan for that?
No, I don't have the PO yet. Ed's supposed to be back tomorrow, so I'm gonna try to have him look at that. Mark and I have talked about it. Part of it'll probably be out of the cemetery fund. He's got $1,000 in there for tree work. So we'll try to get that branch down and take the rest of that tree down. It's not gonna hurt anything if it falls now, but we shouldn't wait too long on taking it down. So I'm trying to have Ed take a look at it.
There's a board members, there's a tree behind the shed on General Sullivan in the cemetery. So, you know, on the end closer to closer to Roberts Road. There's an enormous crack and the branch is just like leaning on other trees. It's kind of already down, but it's not on the ground yet. So, George, would you say that would hit the shed when it comes down?
It's wedged in between two other branches now. It's being held up by other trees, so it's gonna have to be cut to take it down. Unless we get if we get another windstorm, it may take the rest of the tree the other way, and that may cause it to fall, but it is split about 25 feet up in the air, so it's right across from number 164, General Sullivan.
So is that highway responsibility or is it cemetery responsibility?
It's within 3 or 4 feet of the road or 5 feet of the road, so it's gonna be a toss-up.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is like an FYI.
Yeah, right now, I don't have a PO because I
Okay.
don't know what the cost is gonna be to take it out.
Okay. Also, get back on Clement Road. I don't know if we couldn't go up there today because of the repaving and digging up, but when I came down over the weekend, there was a really big branch on power lines. Did you
Yep.
see that? Okay,
No,
who's
Sean
responsible for
gave
that?
me that this morning, and he has notified Eversource.
Okay, that's them. Okay, very good. Okay, I just wanted to make, because it was quite large, just to leave it
Sean,
hanging.
they called Eversource today. Whether they get to it today or not, I don't know.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure you knew about it.
No.
So, okay, any questions, gentlemen, on this PO?
Nope.
Okay, I'll call the question and the roll call vote. Paul,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
and Denise, yes. Okay, you're all set. I'll have to sign the PO tomorrow. I don't have it, but I will.
I'll
We'll
talk
get
with
to
him tomorrow anyway. He's gonna schedule it, so. he's
Okay,
gonna- He'll try to get in there as soon as he can, but he's pretty busy with these trees down everywhere too.
yep. All righty.
We're progressing sidewalks, and it's supposed to be paving towards the end of the week, barring any complications. We're trying to get the rest of the driveways ready.
Good.
Would you repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We are progressing on Main Street with the driveways. We got a few more driveways to dig out, and the paving is supposed to be towards the end of this week.
Oh, okay.
It could be with the weather and everything else, that could delay them a little bit, but it'll definitely be done before school starts. And of course, school's not gonna be opened up completely anyway, but we should have it before the end of the month.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions for Highway? Or do you have anything else, George?
Right now, I'm good. It's just, I want to make sure we can get them trees taken care of before we have some incidents.
Okay. Gentlemen, any other questions?
I have a couple questions. So the cracks on Sligo, is everything okay with those?
Yeah, okay, I'll go back to that. I spoke with Chris from Pike. And those things, they're gonna do a core sample of the road. He thinks there might have been a bad batch of hot top there. So that is gonna be, before they overlay that road, they will take that section out and redo it. But they don't wanna do it until they get ready to overlay the road. I mean,
Okay,
and so that'll be taken care of. They are aware of it. And also, we did get better pricing, not the greatest better pricing, but at least a $5,000 discount to do Woods Run now. I don't, if you want to do it or not. But he said the longer we wait on overlaying, you're going to start seeing more stuff. And that was intended to be done within 2 years. So that's entirely up to you people.
when didn't that get paid last year?
No, Woods Run was paved
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. This is the second, yeah,
This year
second.
too?
yes.
Okay, all right,
And I think we need to put on a schedule going over all the roads that we intend to do something. I mean, we haven't had a chance to sit down and talk roads just between the board and myself, so.
I think we have to look at the road plan, the whole road plan,
Correct.
and prioritize whatever, you know, so I think that's one of the things that we will do, come fall, I think,
Yep,
before the
agree.
budget season, so. Any
And
other
then-
questions on it?
Yeah, and sorry, one more question. So George, I was curious, where that culvert you're talking about on down by Foundry Street? Is it out? It's out behind the softball field?
Well, the big one goes across through the field. It's on right where the main flagpole is that they have it in front of the Legion across
Yeah.
the street. You can see where the ground is settling around the fence and stuff, and it heads out towards the river. It seems like it's settling more all the time right in that area. We have, like I said, we haven't got a camera in it yet, so we're not sure. The other one that we have an issue with is on Locust Street, coming down the hill, where the dam was. It's between the dam and the Legion, and the water comes out of the ground there. We know there's a broken pipe, but I'm not sure exactly whereabouts in that wood line.
I really couldn't track the one in by the ballpark. I took a walk around the ballpark. I know where the culvert comes out there in the water. And I see how it's a little sandy through there, but I guess I'll have to get a better understanding of what
Well,
the whole thing is.
Paul, I can meet up with any of you anytime to look at this stuff if you want.
All right.
Okay, so you don't have anything scheduled or anything for the camera yet?
I spoke with him about the camera. They've been busy as heck, like everybody else. I haven't done nothing with the camera for the big thing. We got a stormwater meeting this week, so I don't know what we're going to come out with that. If we want to decide to use a different company to do the big culvert.
Okay. All right. Well, just keep us updated on it.
Right.
All right. Anything else? Or cracks on Sligo Woods? So that's all I see on you is the culvert and Sligo and Woods Run.
Right. Now, there is, if you remember earlier this year, we've had a couple of times where the water came across Foundry Street.
Yep.
I do have 3 pieces of culvert available at the shop that was left over from Sligo Road that we could put across there. I can get a quote on doing that, or we can hold off on that till next year. But again, if we have a heavy rain, there's a place where we need a culvert, and that's between the water pumping station and the ball field, or the sewer pump, whatever station that. I think it's the water department.
Yeah.
Where that water came across the road, it came across the road twice, where we had to close the road down. And that's something we ought to think about, whether, I can get a price on it, see how much it would cost to get that squared away. But that's
Okay.
something that involves going under, or there's water and sewer pipes there, and I don't feel comfortable doing it myself, so it's gonna have to be an outside contractor.
Okay. Well,
All right.
we might have to, I don't know. We'll have to see what the state of the
Right.
budget is right now. Now, why, I'm not complaining by no means, but why isn't it flooding over by the dock anymore? Did something get changed over there?
We changed the culvert that goes up to Porter Well.
Yeah. It used to flood all the time where the docking area is.
We cleaned that up and replaced the culvert that went up to the Porter Well.
So that stopped the flooding from the
Put
river.
a lot bigger culvert, and we cleaned out the whole ditch line around from the Legion all the way to that location. And we haven't had it. Yeah.
Wow, that's great because I don't think it's done it at all this year.
Oh,
So
it
great. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, let's just wait a little bit longer until we understand where the state of the budgets are, and we can talk about doing, because it did it twice this year, didn't it? Over
Yeah,
on the
we had to have the fire
other side
department.
of Boundary. Yeah.
We had the fire department bump it a couple times, so
Yeah. So maybe that's our next
I'll
step
get a
as
price
well.
on. We will have some numbers anyway.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Anything else for George, guys?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks,
Very
George.
good. Thank you, George. Have a good
All right.
night. Okay. I see fire is here. So are you gonna? Fire department? Mark,
I was just
Sean?
trying to
There
send
you
something to you.
go. There you go. All righty. What's up?
Okay, first off, I'm sure you all are aware of the issue we had with our door openers after the tropical storm of Tuesday. And the way the whole timing worked out made it kind of complicated as far as our procedures go. So after running it by Caroline, and I know she contacted some of you, and we got that all done. Yeah, there's the PO for that. They came in and just finished it up about an hour ago. So basically this year, all 4 of the door openers have been replaced. But again, the issue with that one, the 2 older ones was, as I wrote there, was that the surges from all the electrical bumps that we had the night of the storm fried the, what's the word I want? The receptors inside there.
Yeah, the capacitors.
The capacitors. So they went up and replaced one of them at $100 a whack, and then when they started firing it up, it blew again. So he was looking at replacing more pieces, another capacitor. So now we're starting to have a running total just to try to get these fixed, which made 0 sense to any of us. So that's when I contacted Caroline. They gave us the same deal they did on the other 2 door openers by doing them early. We saved like $300 on it, but this was something we were going to budget for next year. But just because of the circumstances, it just leaped up in front of us. So we kind of had to do it this way. Any questions on any of that stuff? Just trying to give you a little bit more background on it.
No, my only other question is, how old are the ones and how old's the new ones in the new bays? And should we be thinking about it before it becomes an emergency, putting it on CIP or whatever to start saving for them?
Yeah, no, Denise, that's a good question. And I had that same conversation with Caroline on Friday. A couple of years ago, we had a maintenance contract the town did with Haley Door. And they were coming in and servicing all our stuff here and George's building and Bob's area and everything else. And the last time they were in here and serviced these 2, they said they were fine. There's no issues with age or anything like that. So we can build that in down the road. But from what they said outside a year ago, that those 2 door openers were in fine shape. So it's not a pressing need at this moment, but it's probably something we should look at down the road.
Yeah, the other thing is, the only place that we can start saving money is CIP. So, we might want to just put it in there. You don't necessarily have to put money against it right away, but being one of the...
I thought CIP was for larger amounts than it would be for door openers.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
I'm not sure how much is it going to be. Would it be
If
the
we did
29.5?
Yeah, if we did 2 more, that would replace those 2, and that's all it would be.
Well, that's as long as he holds it the price for in the next 5 years or something, I'm just saying, I wanted to make sure that we're not being
Oh, no, I understand.
slammed with something and if it happens, then it would have to come out of your building maintenance, I guess. So,
And that's where we were looking to build it in.
Yeah.
So we can go either way, but I have the impression that CIP was for larger numbers, but however you want to do it, we've discussed it, we've looked at it. Like I said, I researched it. They said they were fine, but if it's something we should do just to keep up with the others and something we can build in, we can discuss that. But as of last year, he said those things were in fine shape.
and I'll go with what you decide to do, and that's fine. But if it's something is getting hit by lightning and fried because of it, that could be something that's a year old.
Yeah,
Right?
but again, the guy said today, it was just those old machines with those old capacitors and stuff. They just didn't have the ability to absorb that constant being thumped. All the newer ones have resistors and whatnot on them to to alleviate that problem. And the
Okay.
ones in the bay have those. So we've
Okay.
done some checking, but I totally understand where you're at, Denise. And you know what? I'll add it to my list.
Well, you know, if you think that they're good, I'm okay with it. I just
Yeah.
wanted to be trying to proactive.
Oh, I
you
know,
know.
because in a lot of ways, it's correct there too, because the other two bays, those are vehicles that don't run that much. You can't have that with the engines. The engine's got to go now, and you got to lift the door. The guy's got to hold it with a pike pole. It's a total pain to get a truck out, and it's a little different with an engine than it is the others. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll jump on that one and get it done
Okay.
here, maybe in the next year. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
All right.
fine. Gentlemen, any questions on this purchase order 1844? Oh, actually should have moved it, right? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Why don't we get it moved?
Somebody move it.
I'll move purchase order 1844 to Overhead Door of Portsmouth for $2,950 for replace the door openers in bays 1 and 2.
And I will second that.
All right, I already said all my comments. Any comments from you guys?
No, I'm good.
Nope.
Paul, you all set? All
Yeah.
right. So I'll call the question. We'll do a roll call vote. And Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and Denise, yes. All right.
Okay, thank you on that one. This next one right there is for, we have our new extrication equipment, which we're going to be getting trained on next week, and it's going to be put on the fire truck. The back area where engine 2 was supposed to have these put on was originally designed for a hydraulic unit. And since we purchased all the electrical units that we're going to use now, we needed to make some modifications. So this is to make a shelf at like a 60-degree angle that's going to be mounted in the truck, and it's going to have all the batteries and chargers in there for the necessary equipment. And then on the bottom rollout shelf, he's going to make some brackets so the jaws of life, the ram, and all the extrication equipment will be secured and mounted on engine 2. So that's what this PO is for.
Okay. Can someone move the PO for conversation?
Yep. I'll move purchase order 1843 to, is that mailings?
Mailings, correct, yes.
Welding service for $600 for brackets and shelving in engine 2.
And I will second that.
All right. Any discussion or questions?
Nope. I
Nope.
think
Hearing none.
Makes
All right.
sense.
You ready to vote? Call the vote. Paul,
Yes.
Miles,
yes.
and Denise, yes. All right.
Okay, thank you. We should have that by the end of the week. And as I said, next Monday night, the whole department is coming in. We're going to be at the transfer station, cutting up cars, getting their guys their final training, and then that'll be mounted on the fire truck, and all that equipment will be put into use.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. It's very good. It's very good. So, okay. Did Caroline, did Sean send you the invoice or the quote for the repairing of the heater in the hose tower?
He didn't get a chance to apparently before the meeting, so
Okay.
none of the board members have seen that or are aware of the situation.
Okay. Well, this is kind of, again, another spin-off from the overall upgrade of the heating system. There's a Modine heater which hangs in the hose tower. It's 35 feet up in the air. It failed about 1.5 years ago due to a rusted, degraded union. So we were unable to use the heater in the hose tower. So with all this upgrades with the heating system, it has been recommended by Gagnon that we put that back in service so that we don't put any contaminants into the piping and into all the lines with the new system that we've just installed. So they've given me a quote, and the other thing is the old system ran up through the attic space, and the attic space here in the fire station obviously is an unheated area. So that led to some of the degradation and the failure of that union. So what they're proposing we do is, we already have the basic valving in place from the removal of the old heating system, is they would like to run copper lines through the existing station in the heated areas and then up into the hose tower to get the system back up and running. He's given me a quote for it with all the description of all the labor and all the needed parts and whatnot that they want to do. And it comes out to a total of $25,8972 to put this back in. He wants to use copper pipes because that would better handle any debris or contaminants and stuff that just sits there. It's almost the same issue we were facing with the tank, the pump on the tank truck, where all these contaminants are just sitting there degrading all of that cast iron metal and whatnot. It's the exact same thing that's happening in the heat system here, and that's that. So he wants to use the copper because that will not degrade, it will not fail, we won't have that issue again. So that's basically the last component to any heating issues within the fire station. And we can get the hose tower back up and running, because if we have incidents in the wintertime, obviously we got a clean, dry hose, we got to hang it in the hose tower. What we've been doing the last year and a half is just leave the doors open at the base of the hose tower and let the natural flow of heat from the bays go up in there. It's a lot longer process and whatnot, but this unit is up there, it's ready to go, we just need to replumb it. And
Mark, you put yourself on, mic is off. You put your mic off. There you go.
Did I just do that
Yep.
whole talk for nothing?
No.
No. You just put it when you stop talking. All
Okay.
right. So we can talk about it. Does someone want to make a motion? Oh, there is no PO. Do you have a PO number?
I do not yet.
Oh, there's no PO. Okay, so
This just came in today, so it's more for discussion. If we decide we're gonna do this and with the PO, I can go get you a number, because I'll give you the next one that's in my desk right now, and I can fill it out and have it there in the morning.
all right, you need to confirm, is it 2,900 or 29,000?
258972.
So 2,900. Okay. I just wanted to confirm that.
2,600, Mark, right? It's 2,600. It's $2,589.72.
Yep.
Oh, I thought he said 9.
When I'm done. I don't know.
Mark,
I'm sorry, go ahead, I was.
it's okay. Could you just confirm one more time? That's $2,589.72.
That is the number, correct.
Oh, I thought
Okay.
he said 9. Yeah.
So if the board wants to do this, somebody could move the contract with that price, and you don't need a purchase order if you want to just approve the contract.
Okay. Well, let's open it up for discussion. Can someone move it so we can discuss it?
Yeah, I'll move that we enter into a contract with P. Gagnon and Son for $25,8972 to enable the heating system in the hose tower.
I will second that.
All right, so we're open for discussion. I have a couple of questions. One of them is, I know that you had to move monies around, so where would this money come from?
I don't have an answer to that one.
Okay.
I don't think there's any money left in our station maintenance, because I think that went away a long time ago. So the other lines that I zeroed out to fix the tank truck, usually every year we turn back a little bit. Maybe I can find this, but I can't guarantee you that, because I don't know till we get to the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's my question, is that can we hold off on this? You know, I know there's an element of time, and cold weather isn't that far off.
I just think that we have them here. They're coming in a week to finish installing the chimney caps on the new Resnors in the bay. They're going to remove the oil tank coming Thursday. So those last two components in this would put all this to bed. We wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. I'm kind of like, I would just soon see it all done, so we don't have to, keep pushing these things back. But I understand where's it coming from. I don't have an answer for that right now.
Okay.
So the other thing is that I sent the board a rebudgeting worksheet this afternoon, so I'm sure you all haven't had a chance to really digest what it says. But it may be worth revisiting this conversation at the next meeting. And in the meantime, the board can look at the rebudgeting worksheet. And if you want me to move money around in a different way, I can do that. So you can see, you know, if we do this project, what does it look like? And if we don't do some other project, what does it look like? And then the board can decide outside of Mark's budget if you think that there's money to do this.
Okay. Okay. I had a question. You said that the hose tower is connected to the attic.
It is.
How is that connected to the attic?
Well, if you when you go by and look at the station, you'll see the peak of the roof goes right to the hose tower. And the way, like I said, as it was plumbed before, the ran on the attic space and then in through that wall to where the heater is mounted. So there was about a 6 or 8 foot run of pipe in an unheated space. What they're wishing to do is to move that so it's all interior and it doesn't go through the attic. The attic actually bumps up against the side of the hose tower, if you look at that.
Because the attic is above the radio. I mean, the radio room and the boiler room. Yes.
Yes.
So that, and then the hose tower abuts the boiler room, and that's
Yes.
how it's happening.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
But you know, we've done a lot of work in the attic in the last few months, between Sean's upgrading of all the networking system inside and with the heating system getting done. And we've noted an awful lot of deficiencies up there, a lot of things that need to be taken care of. And to the point where we're going to present some stuff down the road that we as members of the fire department, there's very little insulation in the attic space, and spaces that are just, it's too small, it's not right, there's holes that need to be closed up. You know, for $300 to $500, we can purchase the stuff, and the members of the fire department will take care of insulating the attic and saving us a lot more money down the road as far as heating goes, because we've noticed so many things wrong with up there. So, you know, again, we're trying to do the best we can with what we got to try to save some money in the long run. So these are just some of the other things that we've noticed, that we found that we didn't care for.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Miles or Paul?
Are we gonna debate this and bring it up in 2 weeks, or are we gonna make a decision tonight about this?
Well, that's up to you. Right now, he doesn't have money in his budget. So, and we don't really have a clear picture of the town budget because of everything that's been happening. So, I mean, it's not a whole lot of money. I think we'll probably be able to do it, but I would like to defer. When are they coming again, Mark?
This week to finish connecting up all the Resner heaters and to remove the oil tank. So that would wrap this all up, and they could incorporate this into it if we decided to move forward into that time frame.
All right. What is your feelings, Miles and Paul?
I think, I mean, they'll be able to come back. I mean, they're in South Berwick.
Yeah.
They're not coming from South America.
And Caroline,
It's fine, you know, if we need to visit this in 2 weeks, give you guys a chance to absorb some of what Caroline's going to present, then I'll put this on my next to-do list.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, maybe send a copy to Caroline so we can have a copy of the proposal as well as the purchase order.
Will do.
I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain we can get it done. We're in some tough shape right now financially, so I want to make sure we know what the whole picture is. There's been a lot of emergencies this year.
I certainly understand that. I'm probably the source of half of those emergencies, so I
Some
get
of
that
them.
part.
Not all of them, but some of
Get
them,
that
yeah.
part, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, it's all out of our control. I mean, you talk about
Yep.
emergencies, you know, normally this time of year, the fire department, we might be sitting at 70 calls. We're at almost 140 calls this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Our call volume is about doubled from what it normally is. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we understand the emergencies and being busy, so we'll keep trudging along.
Okay, so just turn that in and we'll talk about it at our next meeting.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you. Anything else, Mark?
That is all that I have. What's going to happen is Sean had a meeting he had to go to at 7. He's going to show back up at 8 o'clock and go over. Caroline, you must be aware of some of these other things that he wanted to go over. He was going to
Yes.
sign back. He was going to sign back in at 8 o'clock and go over some other information that he has. He's much more informed than I am on some of the stuff. So he'll be back to visit you in a little while.
Okay, that's fine. All right,
Okay,
very
but
good.
As far as I'm concerned, that's all that I have. And if there's anything else that you have for me.
Quick
I do
question,
not.
Mark. How are you? Everything's okay with the pumper truck? That's gone fine now? Maintenance has all been done on it and it's good to go?
You mean the tank truck?
Tanker?
Tank truck, I meant tank truck. sorry.
No, we haven't done anything with it yet. They're still ordering all the components. They're gonna have a brand new tank in place or in their place of business next week. They got all the ball valves and all those parts. They're waiting on the arrival of a new pump. And when they do it, they're gonna give us a heads up by a day. The truck will go up there. It'll be out of service for a week. It's still here now, but we're probably still a couple weeks out to getting it up there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody else?
Anybody else?
I'm good.
Okay, we're good. Thank you, Mark.
Okay. Hey, keep cool.
Have a good night.
All right, you also.
All right.
See ya.
Okay, I see a friendly face here that just came in, the transfer station. Hi, Ed. Are you presenting something tonight? Do you need to unblock yourself or unmic yourself? There you go.
Yeah, finally. I am, if you're ready for me.
Yep, you're
Okay.
next.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I put a PO in, hopefully for a laptop computer. I've been working with Caroline and with another gentleman, Dave. I don't know Dave's last name, but he's a whiz at Excel. And we're coming up with some spreadsheets to really track what we're doing over there. The computers that we have at the transfer station and highway don't have Excel on them. And my particular computer I have, it's a wonderful computer. I'm sure back in its day, it's working pretty good, but I hate to put Excel on it because I don't know how long the computer is going to last. And I believe in once again, the conversation with Caroline, that the CARES Act with COVID and whatnot, this could fall under a reimbursement from that. The computer is $1,200. She got the price, and that I believe includes Microsoft Office, which would have everything on it that I'd need. Right now I'm doing it kind of I'm doing everything longhand over there right now, as far as tracking what we bring in for income, what we spell out for, our MSW, our trash, our demo. I'm just trying to keep a really close eye on what we're doing. And I had this idea to put it on Excel. So I'm trying to learn Excel to do it. This other gentleman, Dave, has been real helpful and has got me a spreadsheet that'll work, but it's a read only. I can't go in and adjust it. I could do it at home, but I don't have my files here at home. So, because I do have it on my computer here, but anyway, the computer I have now, when you turn it on, it might give you large print on the screen. It might give you small print on the screen. It's got a few little hokey things that way. I think it's a Dell computer, but it's a monitor computer all in one. So when it goes, it's going to go. So what I'd like to do, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is this the one that you got from the school?
I'm not sure.
Hand-me-downs?
Caroline got it somewhere.
Oh, Caroline got this one for you. Okay, that's
Yeah.
right.
It's not from the school. I got it privately for him.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And it would be a fine computer for someone to, I'm grateful to have it for what I've done with it. I've used it a lot. It's on every day, emails and whatnot. But I think there's more that I would like to do that I'm limited with this. I really don't want to put any money into this computer. And it would be fine if someone needed a spare computer somewhere for a little bit, but a laptop would be much more convenient in a number of different ways, both for these meetings and for, for what I do over there. So I guess that's my spiel.
All right. Well, I'm going to move purchase order 1831 to Tom LaBelle for $1,200 for a laptop for the transfer station. I'll say transfer station.
And I will second that.
All righty. So any questions for Ed or Caroline on this, Miles or Paul?
No, I'm okay
Nope.
with it.
Yeah.
I went down.
abs-
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I went down through my budget today, and I do see under my maintenance line that I do have some money sitting in there. We actually budgeted to buy the set of scales this year with this year's money. We bought it last year. The money is still in the budget. So I don't know how the CARES Act reimburses and whatnot, but I know when it reimburses, it doesn't go back in my budget. But if we're looking for ready funds to be able to purchase the computer, there is some money I found in the budget.
Okay. Well, it's good that we can get it covered by CARES Act, so we should do it now just because. Caroline, when is that stopping, CARES Act? What's the deadline on that?
For this round of funding, they've extended it, and it was the end of August. It's now the middle of October. We have until October 15th to spend money, but we need to report to them how much more money we think we might spend between now and the end of the year, just in case they decide to make more money available later.
Okay.
So the middle of October.
So do we know what the availability is? Did Tom give you an idea of what the availability is for this computer?
Laptops are 2 to 3 weeks out. So it'll probably be 3 to 4 weeks before it'll be available to Ed if you approve it tonight.
Okay. Did George get a new computer?
He did. He got a laptop when I put in a purchase order for 7. I had planned to give one to the land use secretary who preferred to use her own. So I thought rather than push that on her, it made more sense to give it to George, who would, it's much better than what he has available, and it would allow him to participate better in remote meetings. So George has a new laptop.
Does that have Excel in it?
It has Microsoft Office, yes.
Oh, until he gets his, can you use George's so you don't have to get deferred for another 6 weeks? Is it in the office? George is still there. George.
Yeah.
Do you take your computer home with you all the time?
No, I keep it at the office.
So could Ed, so it doesn't get deferred until he can get his own computer, maybe use your Excel when he can with this gentleman that's helping him?
Yeah, I have no
until
problem
he
with
gets his. Okay, so then at least you're not waiting until you get your computer.
Okay,
Good.
appreciate that.
Yeah, great. Thank you, George.
Yep.
Okay, so any other questions?
Nope.
All right, I'll call the vote. Miles,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and Denise, yes. Okay. We'll get it on order for you.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else for you?
No, I thought I had one more thing I was going to let you know, but I don't remember now what it was. No, everything's going good at the transfer station. I'm hoping next week to finish up getting the recycling area wrapped with metal and get that finished up. The roof's done. That's about it. I did get a price on a Quonset hut that I had talked mostly about with the capital improvement committee. That's probably not the right term for them, but I'm in active mode right now. And it's about $11,000 for that building. So I'm going to kick that over to them and see if that's something they want to look at, for a year or two out, and see how that works out. No, I can't for the life of me remember anything else that we're doing. So
All right.
that's all I have.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and I do not see police. They're not coming tonight, Caroline? No. Okay. All right. Town administration.
So under the pandemic, we have the town hall opening. Denise, you and I talked about the opening plan. The board saw the chief's recommendation for an opening plan, and then I had drafted that into more a policy form. I don't know, Denise, if you want to share that with the board now, or if you want to do more work on it before we propose to the board. The other board members wouldn't have had a chance to see that. So I don't know how you want to handle that, but we can at least get as far as talking about what the chief proposed.
Yeah, I would do because I haven't had much time to work on it. So let's at least talk about what the chief proposed, or what the chief put out there as the recommendation for town hall. Did either one of you or both of you review that, and do you have any comments on it?
I did read it. It seems a pretty concrete plan that he put ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going by memory, but I'm pretty sure his emphasis was pretty much on the town clerk. Is the only one that's going to have dealing with the public for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know if we want to propose to go forward with that, get everything going and do it in 2 weeks. I don't know if Miles has read it, but it's pretty well laid out. What
Yep.
I have.
Yeah, I read it. I agree. It all makes sense. I mean, I don't know. So what would we wait for, Denise? I'm sorry, I kind of missed.
Well, we're making a policy
Oh, I see.
out of his recommendation. We're kind of forming a policy, because I do unfortunately think that this is going to come back and haunt us again sometime down the road, as they predicted. Yep. And so having a policy in hand, we're going to form it into a policy, what his letter was.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I think it makes sense. So the Municipal Association and Primex both highly suggest that you have a policy. I think that what the chief wrote out should be part of the policy. He's proposing that as stage 1. And so we can work on the policy. If you want, Denise, I can share what I've drafted, or you can work on it some more before we share it. But I think you can certainly approve what the chief proposed tonight, if you're comfortable with that, while we work on the policy for soon. But the policy needs to come soon, because we need to talk about what the employee's role is too. There's more to talk about, I think, in a bigger picture than just what's in his proposal for stage 1, and then stage 2 and stage 3, however it plays out, can become part of that policy too. I just want to remind the board that the election is in only a few weeks. And so the clerk had emailed the board about how she intended to open on Tuesday afternoon evenings to allow people who are not registered to register, so that they can then get absentee ballots, because you can't do same-day voting if you want to do absentee ballots, and a number of people want to do absentee ballots that aren't registered. So she was hoping to, be open for Tuesdays as soon as possible, at least for the election stuff. I just wanted to remind you of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You certainly can share what you have, and they have what Bob did, and then we can work on it some more together, and then share it before, and to get some input. And feel free, please, to send your inputting to Caroline or myself, and we'll take your suggestions and implement them throughout the policy as well. I just think we need to definitely have a policy going forward.
So one of the things you can think about tonight with what the chief has proposed is, depending on your comfort level and how this might go, you can try it out on these Tuesday afternoons with voter registrations, or you can, really do town hall hours if you think we're ready for that. So it doesn't, or something in between, even in this, the way he's proposed it, there's a way to do an in between if the board feels more comfortable, and that allows still more progress and more convenience if you have any hesitation about it.
I'd like to do this as a trial run, to be honest with you, to see how it goes and see how well it's organized and maintained. That's my opinion. Before we start opening it up, I want to make sure that the message is clear, distancing and following a path and not going down the hall to other offices unless an appointment is with that person. I want to make sure that so I would say trying it with the Tuesdays at this point. She's doing her appointments anyway for the other days, right? She's doing office appointments if they need to come in. So that's working fairly well.
She still prefers being completely open. It does take time to set up appointments with people. Are you free Tuesday afternoon? How about Wednesday morning? And no, not Wednesday this week. And, the back and forth with people, she would prefer to just be open, but that's up to the board. It is working. People are showing up for appointments and work is getting done. I think her stress is, I don't want to speak for her, but I think what I'm hearing from her is that stress is more election related than it is motor vehicle related. The appointments have been more for motor vehicles. So I think the priority is probably with elections and ballot registration.
Yeah. Okay. How about you guys? What do you think?
I think what you said, Denise, I agree 100% as a trial basis. Just try Tuesday. Maybe for the next 2 weeks, try Tuesday afternoons. And then we'll be back on the 24th. Make it a policy, I think. And then maybe open the whole town. But I think trying it out first is the best idea.
So I have one minor hesitation about Tuesdays only, is if whatever person always works Tuesday evenings and can't come in and register, like, can we do one morning and Tuesday? Just a thought.
I wouldn't have a problem with that, because we're doing it certainly as a trial run and getting as much as we can. I think she was doing Tuesdays because people can make an appointment to come in the morning because she's there. Is that not correct, Caroline? Or is it not?
No. I'm really not sure where Tuesdays are coming from. It may be something that's mandated by the Secretary of State's office for when you shall be open for registrations. I'm honestly not sure.
But they're also the people that are going to be there as supervisors of checklist, correct?
They will be there on Tuesdays, yes.
Right. So it might be their schedules as well.
Okay,
But
that's fine.
You can certainly ask her if there's other times to make sure that she gets everybody. And if there is, we can get it back to the board for another day proposal or something. But I certainly would try this for now and see how that works.
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay. So
Okay, I'll let her know.
do we have to? We don't have to vote on that, right? We can just go ahead and consensus says.
I think there's a pretty clear consensus. I think that's fine.
Okay, very good. Yep.
Awesome.
So this employee travel plans, to my mind, that's one of the things that the policy would address. It would address a lot of things that would pertain to employees. So I don't know if the board really wants to talk about that, but that was just my thought, that it would be something that would work its way into policy.
Yeah.
I agree.
So you're talking about if someone goes away and comes back, do they quarantine? Is that what you pretty much said? Is that what that means?
Do they quarantine? Yeah, all those things.
Okay.
What happens, and if it's from a state outside of New England, or if it's from a state within New England, or these are all the flow chart. If you do this, this is what we
we
ask you to do.
Yeah. my only opinion on that is, I mean, it really depends where they're traveling and if they're flying versus going to a very hot state. Those are the concerns that I have. If they're traveling to Maine or Massachusetts or, you know, Vermont or something, I'm not as much concerned.
Agreed. Yeah. Like,
You know, but you hop on a plane and you go to California or some of the very big states that are having a lot, we would really need to think about that.
Right. I'm just going to give my 2 cents for a minute. We have
Sure.
we have a pretty strong government policy, and right now, last week I had a guy that had to travel for me, and he went from a green state to a green state, and he drove. He went down to Groton. He had no restrictions when he came back. But I have a guy this week that's out. He went from a green state to a red state. So when he comes back after this week, we're paying him to stay home for 2 weeks to self-quarantine.
Yeah.
'Cause we're sending him out on a mission. So, and then obviously if he went out personally, it'd be totally different.
Well, wouldn't he still have to quarantine though, but maybe not
would,
get
but-
paid?
He would, but then it would be his leave.
Yeah. Okay.
We're
See, that's
sending
what
him- Yeah.
when it's voluntarily, then it should be on them. But if it's job related, then it should be on the company or the department or whatever.
Yeah.
So I agree, and I think that's as clear as it can be, and I think that's what we should follow for
I agree.
now. Depends where you're going. It doesn't have to be, you know, every state in the U.S. But if you go out of the country, I think that's an automatic.
Yep.
So I don't even know if they're letting people into the other countries, but I think that's so. If you want to draft something up that we can work together on a policy, Caroline, we can certainly work on that.
Yeah, I'll add what you're saying about travel stuff to the policy that I had sent you, and then
Yeah.
I'll send it to everybody, and we'll see if we can clean it up. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. 2021 budget presentation.
Yeah. So we're getting into budget season. Budgets are due to the select board on Wednesday. So there are just two things related to that. One is it might be good to think about what is your workshop schedule. I think you all decided last time that you're not really excited about meeting on Saturdays. So are you going to be meeting on your off Mondays, or do you want to meet earlier on Monday evenings or a different evening? So starting when, for how many times, and for how long? Do you want to keep these to 2 hours? Sometimes in the past they've been 3 hours or more. So that's one thought. And the other thought is you did give department heads the guidance that they should come in level funded or less than that. There seems to be some confusion about whether or not you would support department heads moving money around to support salary increases. So I think it would be helpful for department heads to know whether or not you would support salary increases or whether you want to flatline salaries. And so I don't know if you're ready to decide that, but those are the things that I think are worthy of discussion.
Okay. Anybody have any opinions?
Well, a little bit about meeting on meetings. I think I'm just talking to me personally, but off Mondays, we got to meet. I think off Mondays would work for me. I'm just saying that.
Yep.
Yep.
And then I don't know how to address right now budget heads doing that. I'm not sure yet. Denise and Miles probably have better understanding.
Yeah.
Right now.
I guess I have mixed feelings. Level funded to me means that we're not really increasing any budget line, but if they can find the money within their budget. The thing of it is, so let's say police is able to do that and highway's not. So police get raises and highway doesn't. Is that fair?
Good point.
I don't know. you know, I've worked for or volunteered with a nonprofit before where we had to have a year where there were no raises, and it's really not a nice message. But we are in a economic downturn, so I'm not sure what people would expect other than
Well, I don't know.
It's tough.
Everyone's going to want money. That's
Yep.
Everyone's going to want a pay increase. However, I think in my opinion, I'm not hearing so much positive about coming in flatlining it, for one. So if that isn't happening, that's a problem. And two is that if they want, one of the things is that we've worked really hard about getting our employees to at least market, which not giving them raises jeopardizes that, for one thing. That's what I'm concerned about on one side of it. But there are things that you could give up in a year in equipment or whatever if you want the raises. But
Right.
I think if it's going to happen, it has to go across the board, though. They all have to agree that that's what they're going to do. And but there's always emergencies. Clearly, we know we've had our shares this year, and that just could throw a big monkey wrench into it. But I think if the effort is there, that they come flatlined or below, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to raises, but we can't have it both ways. I mean, we've had a really bad year, and taxes are going to go up really high, and we have to look at that whole picture. So, that's my opinion.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Just with respect to the, you know, and I agree with you, Denise, that we've worked hard to try to make pay in town closer to market. I suspect if someone went out job hunting right now, they wouldn't find very many job offers. So the market's we're probably okay in the market. But yeah, and I don't know, maybe if we could think about so one thing with Caroline's spreadsheet, I've been kind of looking at it in the background, is what do we spend on salaries? Is it $1 million of our 2.6 million? And what does 2% look like? What does 1.5% look like? What does 1% look like?
Right.
And figure out if that's an amount that we could live with, so we could at least pass that along. Is just a thought.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I mean, the department heads can turn in their budgets. And if they are really saying that they think that their departments deserve a raise, the budget can also be decreased by the Board of Selectmen to accommodate that and not have it. If the department heads don't come in on their own, then we can do it.
Oh, yeah.
To give them the raise. If that's what the real, you know, if that's what the real gung-ho, I want to get this, and, you know, then it will be up to us, if they're going to get a raise, what the cut will be in the department head budget. I don't want to do that. I'm just saying, if we're not coming in level funded or below, that's the only way that we can, for 2021 anyway, to give raises.
Right.
And if we are, I mean, they're not going to be huge. That's for sure too. I mean, we got to be very careful about the whole picture of things and how people have been affected by this pandemic in our town, with working and not working and unemployment and whatever. So we have to look at the whole big picture. So that's my opinion.
Agreed.
So
yeah,
I would just add to Miles's point. I think that's definitely worth doing, Miles, and I'll take a look at that, compiling all the salary lines and looking at what different percentages cost on that. But in recent years, salary increases at the 2% that have happened are the biggest portion of increases that happen in the budget. So, you know, the little bits of money here and there add up, but nothing like, you know, most of it is close to level with, and salaries is what makes up most of the increase.
Yeah, but we've also done a number of adjustments over the past few years.
So that it
It's
will
true.
make it better for sure, you know, because
Yeah.
we did do some adjustments. But I also think that we need to stand firm on no new employees this year either.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that that's something that we have to, unless it's something that I'm not aware of, we have to have no additional staff. So I haven't seen any of the budgets. I don't know what's come in. But I think that we have to hold tight on that as well,
Agreed.
especially
Agreed.
with full timers, if there's any full timers, because that on top of it has medical benefits and all of those other things. You know,
Yep.
so let's see what they have, and then I guess my recommendation would be to meet the off Mondays to do our budget workshops.
Okay.
And I'm not a big fan of Saturdays. If we have to, we do, but I'd rather keep it on a Monday and keep it to no more than 2 hours, and just try to
Plow
get
through
it done. Yep.
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 Agreed.
So
Do we want to talk about when that might start? You have, so this is the 10th, so you will have budgets on by Monday night. I can get this, like the spreadsheet all compiled, or is that too early and you'd really like more time to digest that spreadsheet and the proposals before you start meeting about them? And that might be better so that you have time to make your own individual cases to the board about what you'd like to do with the proposals.
When does it need to be to the budget committee?
Budget
Oh,
committee starts meeting in the middle of October.
okay.
yeah. I don't have the
it starts
schedule
meeting in the
here.
middle of October.
I can send the schedule to you guys as well, so you know. But we have to, I mean, there's some, you have to at least do the first 2 or 3 meetings. You have to get those taken care of, the first ones, because and then you can work on them while budget committee is meeting on the other ones, on the, you know, the ones that we haven't done.
Right.
I know school is the last one. They're closest to the December, I think. Yeah, we do have to start working on them carefully and soon. Caroline, you and I worked a schedule out and look at the budget schedule and work out a schedule and send it to them and see if that works for you guys, and then we can revise it as needed. Do you want to try to do that?
Okay.
Miles, will that work for you if we try to do that?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll
Yep.
look at the budget committee, and you don't have all of the budgets right now currently, Caroline?
No, they're due Wednesday, and I've heard from 2 departments so far.
Okay, all right. Can we send out a notice tomorrow? It is imperative that they get them into us ASAP. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. So we'll try to work on our off Mondays, and we will discuss salaries once we look at the whole picture. So election coverage. I sent what I am available to do this particular election to the board and Kate. Have you guys corresponded with Kate what you can do for the election?
I haven't. I can. I prefer the morning, so showing up when the polls open and then leaving, sometime around lunchtime, and then coming back.
To count?
Yeah.
Is that
How about
September 1 or November 1?
The September one.
Okay. We only need one board member there for September 7th, and you're going to be there, or do you need help with some of the coverage?
Well, I can only go from 4 to when it's done. I can't do anything. That's month end for me, and I am really,
Okay.
if I can get out earlier, I will, but I don't know what I can commit to is what I sent on my email. And Miles said he'll do the mornings.
Yeah.
and then
if you
come
could-
back for a vote, counting, right,
Okay.
Miles? Yes?
Yep.
Okay, so Paul, what do you think you can do?
I could do the in between, like the 12 to 4.
Okay, perfect. And are you gonna come,
Follow-
are you gonna come back and, count?
Sure.
Okay,
That's the fun
after
part.
7?
it
That would be
actually
after-
goes, what's that?
Yep, I can come back and come. Just wondering what time is that? It's like after 7 or after 8?
It's around 7 o'clock. Lots of times we can count some before, and then it's just verification. You have to count them like 2 or 3 times and put them in batches of, was it 25 or something like that?
Yep,
Last time
yeah.
she let us do it during the day, and so that
Yeah.
speeded it up at night. So, but that's wonderful. So it looks like we got it all covered.
Good.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Fantastic.
12 to 4.
Yeah.
I got it.
All right. Any other things that we have to know about the election, Kate, Caroline?
I'm just waiting for the town clerk. The moderator's been sending some emails. You've been copied on them with what other towns are doing in managing the election. I think it would be helpful to have a meeting and talk about how election protocol is going to go. What's the traffic flow? What are you going to do if somebody refuses to wear a mask? There's a lot of conversation about how that might go. So I don't know. I haven't talked to Kate about whether or not having a meeting is on her radar. But I know that she's got PPE ordered from the state, and she'll be going soon to go pick it up, and that part is under control. So no, I don't know if she thinks she has this all organized or not, but I think at some point it would be helpful to have a meeting just so that the board and everybody knows what the protocol is, because I imagine there are going to be some changes in how this one might roll.
Okay. Why don't you touch base with her, and if she wants to have it, give us a couple of dates and send them to the board, and then we can see if we can meet virtually with her. I also told her that I wanted to have a face shield, and she's going to put one aside for me. Paul, I don't know if you do, or Miles, if you do, but you might want to just drop her a note if you want to have one yourself. So I don't know if Miles heard me, but if you want any face shields help for you or something, just send her a note, because she will put it aside for you. All right. So, okay, September 7th. Oh, so that was the September 7th meeting, Ren, is what you're referring to.
Well, so no, we've got two different things. So September 7th is the select board has, because of Labor Day, and you would be due to have a select board meeting on Labor Day, but it's a holiday. And so we arranged the schedule approved at the beginning of the year for the select board to meet on Tuesday instead, but now we know that Tuesday's election day. So what would the board like to do about a meeting that week?
I think my suggestion is that we would cancel that meeting for that week unless we are going to be meeting with department heads to go over budget. I think that will open it up because clearly we can't do it Monday. And I don't know what the rest of the week is. I don't know budget wise what I don't have it with me right now, but I would leave it as a canceled meeting. The problem is it will be 3 weeks before we have another meeting. That's the concern. But if we're meeting meeting on budgets on our off weeks, if we have to do something on those because we're already going to be scheduled to meet, then we can do something quickly to do that and then go back into budget.
I would just notice them as meetings with budget as the agenda item rather than workshops, since you can't vote on workshops. But yes, we could do that. And if you actually take up some business on the meetings on those meeting nights before and after, then that's probably adequate.
Okay, and we can talk about it more when it gets closer to. So that's what I would suggest, just canceling that meeting altogether at this point.
Okay.
CARES Act grant application and public hearing date.
There is a form in the board's folder. The board already authorized the participation in the grant opportunity. So I don't think that any of this requires a vote of the board, but I just want to bring to your attention that the form needs signing. Miles signed it today, so Paul and Denise, I'll need you both to sign it. I'll make it available on the back table. It's several pages long, and it authorizes Miles as the signer on everything. I picked Miles rather randomly because he's the one that signed the last reimbursement request form, because he was the one that was available that day. So just for consistency, because I don't want to have that reimbursement denied, having him stay the authorized signer made sense to me. So there's just a cover sheet that needs signature. I just want to bring it to your attention. And then also, I'm getting reminded that we are required to have a public hearing to vote to accept these funds. I can't imagine that that's going to be a well-attended public hearing. It's very, it's just a procedural I to dot and a T to cross. And it could maybe be 15 minutes before one of your board meeting nights.
Okay, that can be virtual as well, right?
Yes,
As long as it's posted properly.
correct.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me. How about you two, Paul and Miles?
I think that
Okay.
makes sense.
Let's put it on our next meeting. Is that too soon?
No, I don't think it's too soon. That's the 24th. So we'll do it at 6:15 on the 24th.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Vacation carryover.
Denise, you and I were talking about this today. Vacations got on the board's radar. And so we were talking about the personnel policy, which states that people cannot carry over more than 80 hours from 1 year to the next, which is 60 hours if you are part-time. I did not get as far as sharing the paid time off spreadsheet, which I will share with the board. It has everybody's balance and what days and how much time they've taken off and what their balance is at the end of the year if they don't use any more time. I just want to bring to the board's attention that that there are two things going on with that. One is that I was not remembering that provision in the personnel policy, and that's not something that was recently enforced. So some people have more carryover time, have carried over into 2020 more than the 80 hours. But also, I think that there's the potential for the board to be hearing requests for the board to perhaps pay people out, buy them out of their vacation time because of things going on in their various departments, which have not allowed people to take off time because they may have been short-staffed or virus issues or whatever the case might be. So I just want to bring that to the board's attention because it may be worth addressing all of that now proactively rather than waiting until the end of the year to hear those requests. So I'll send you that spreadsheet so you can look at it, but there are a number of people with quite a lot of time on the books, and it may be a good idea to remind people of the policy that they're not to be carrying over more than 80 hours so that they use their time. The other thing is the auditor has always made a point that he wants people to use their time that has carried over into the following year by the end of June. If you carry over 45 hours, then you need to use 45 hours of vacation by the end of June, or else that 45 hours or whatever part you haven't used would expire. I noted that that's not actually in the policy. So I'm not sure that the board you know, what your opinion of that is, but you might think about that while you're evaluating the personnel policy so that those things can be clarified or changed however you see fit.
Okay, because I think that we're letting them carry over way too much time, and some are getting a lot of time. And I think it's important for the health and the whatever for people to take their time. But also there are other companies, and I think the Navy Yard does it. I'm not sure. Use or lose. I mean, either you use it or you lose it after a certain period of time. Paul, did they do that? I thought they did.
They do, but it's 240 hours of you have 240 hours of vacation time, so it's quite a bit.
That's quite a bit, but we don't have to have it be that much. I mean, we could do a use or lose with a less amount.
Right.
But it needs to. I think it's important for people to take time off and get rested and be. I don't know why people wouldn't want to take their vacation, and I think that there might have been a period of a couple of times where that was too short-handed in certain departments based on illness and other things. But I really don't think if we have other people who are part-timers or whatever, they need to, if they don't want to do it, then they shouldn't be them part-timers. I mean, there needs to be we need to look at that, because I don't think that people should not be able to take their time when they want it. And I mean, I don't mind carrying over a week or two. I think, in my opinion, that's the max that I would think that we would allow to carry over, based on, certainly based on people who have a lot of years with our town, which is great. But they get a lot of vacation. We are very generous vacation and sick leave policies here, but that's my opinion. Anybody else have a?
I think 2 weeks is probably a fairly generous thing to be able to carry over. I'm just trying to figure out what Caroline's saying. So instead of being able to carry over 2 weeks, they want to be able to get paid for it?
Well, I'm actually saying two different things. One is that people have been carrying over more than 2 weeks because I wasn't aware of that. And other people weren't aware of that. So now that we're aware of it, I think it's worth sending a reminder to people that you're not going to be carrying over more than the 80 hours at the, from 2020 to 2021. But separately from that, I just want to make you aware that I think department heads may be coming to the board before the end of the year to request that you pay out some people their vacation time that they've not been able to use for whatever reason. And that would be handled under non-public because it's compensation depending on the person and depending on the circumstance. It's likely more than one person. So, I just thought I would plant that seed so you can be thinking about it and deciding what you think about it. Generally, but also for the policy, because the policy doesn't say what happens when you don't use your time. It says you can carry it over, but it doesn't say that it ever really expires.
So do you have a ballpark figure if we were to honor these requests to cash out like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, because we don't have that much leeway in the budget here?
I think the department heads could probably speak to that. It's certainly that's an interesting note, though. I think it would be a good idea to have pay rates maybe at the top of. I'll try to think of a way that we can try to easily quantify what the value of that is, because it is a liability on the balance sheet that when somebody leaves employment, you have to pay them for their leave, for their vacation time. And if they're an older employee, then it's 10 days of sick time also. Mm-hmm. Not the newer employees, but for the older ones.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the total is. And you don't have to put a name next to it, but you can have a total for employee 1 and employee 2. And, this is what's outstanding and this is what the value is. and also, how much time they have. I mean, this is not the year to be asking for this, to be
Right.
honest. I mean, this is a bad year. But we may want to institute a use or lose or whatever going forward. I think we need to really look at this year as fin it in somehow and get this to be revised a little bit. So, anybody else?
Nope.
No.
Okay. All right. So, Conservation Commission appointment, Joe Desch.
He has, yes. So Joe Desch has been having some email conversations with various members of the Conservation Commission. He's got a lot of ideas and he wants to share them more actively with the commission. So he is requesting appointment to the commission.
Okay.
They say, what do we do? Just make a nomination, or?
If somebody wants to move that he be appointed, that's all it takes is a vote.
All right.
I'll move that he be appointed.
I'll second that.
Okay. And I will do a roll call vote. Paul,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
and Denise, yes. Tell them thank you
Yes.
for stepping
do.
up.
Yeah.
Okay. Town clerk compensation proposal. I had sent you guys something, and now I've kind of haven't sent you the newest one. I want to I can do more on it tomorrow and send it to you, but I think we should change the way that the town clerk is being paid. Did you guys see the one that I did send out?
I didn't.
I didn't. Was it today?
Yep, it was today.
Sorry.
We'll put it on the next select board meeting, because I think we're gonna give a little more background behind it. I ran it by Caroline too. She had some suggestions, which I agree with. So I'm gonna redo it, and I will send it to the three of you. Okay?
Okay.
And then we'll talk about it at the next meeting.
But I'm
Great.
pretty sure I'll be in line with you from what you were talking about earlier.
Yes. Okay. All righty. Town hall heating options. I don't see it, and that's where Sean's coming back.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess I'm gonna give you I'm gonna, just in the interest of time and keeping things moving, I'm sure he'll be with us shortly.
We can
Unless
go
you want to
down.
move down the agenda. And
We
you
can go
move
down
back.
the agenda.
All right.
Yep. Let's
Okay.
do that and come back when he gets back online.
All
Okay.
right.
So board member updates. Miles.
We have continued to meet with the CIP committee. We have one more meeting tomorrow night where the police are going to come with any proposals they have, and then we'll do our deliberations, and we'll be ready to present that back to the board in the next, whenever time period. But yeah, we've made good progress there.
Good. Very good. All right. Paul, I'm sorry.
I did not make the rec meeting this past week. It's very rare that happens too, but I got stuck at work past 7, which is very rare. Usually I'm out by 5. So I do apologize for that, but it sounds like they didn't have enough people at the meeting anyway.
Right.
No, they didn't. So Paul, are you available on the 19th? It's a week from Wednesday. That's the date they were going to try to reschedule to. Does that work for you?
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's a Wednesday. Oh, I got it.
All righty. And oh gosh, what do I have? I don't know what I've had. Nothing, I guess. No, I don't think I had anything. I'll be having budgets weekly going forward for the next couple of months, but I haven't had anything that I can remember. I'm going to be attending the sewer and water meeting on Wednesday.
Good.
And I have to say that things are going much nicer and much more organized. I'm very proud and really happy to see that happen. But I do still want to be informed. So I'm trying to stay up on those. All righty. Town administrator updates.
It's been really busy. A lot of phone calls about property, continuing, people interested in buying property and wondering what the provisions are, what the restrictions, all those things. Cast towing was going to the planning board this past Tuesday, and that was canceled because of the storm. It's rescheduled for the 18th. It's under full site review. It's going to be very interesting. The application that was received was very minimal, and so I anticipate that the planning consultant has advised the planning board to vote the application incomplete and send it to independent engineer for review and get an existing conditions plan. In other words, they have a lot of work to do before there's going to be a lot of discussion at the planning board, but that's coming up soon. CIP tomorrow night and stormwater on Wednesday night. Stormwater needs to finalize its 2020 year and get ready to file its annual report. And also get the asset management grant moving. So they have a lot on their plate. Recreation, we did have a good discussion talking about storage of items and whether or not there are things that they can do still this year. There's not word of more appointments, though. There's not more people looking to be appointed. So it looks like they may even be losing more members for various reasons outside of people's control. So I just want to share with the board, I'm kind of concerned for their ability to continue this year without more, both more members, but also what would they be doing, because with the virus and all the restrictions, I'm not sure, what their goals would be this year anyway. So they're still getting together and talking and working on things, and they weren't able to finalize their budget, but they'll be doing that on the 19th. So they'll be delayed with getting the board the budget, but they are working on that. So there's that. You'll hear from Sean about the heating situation in the town hall. That conversation is very germane to the conversation about moving offices around. The good news is that the phone line already exists. Sean's gonna work with me about getting pricing for internet hardwired to those 2 rooms. But he did come with the fire department's infrared device and determined that there really isn't meaningful insulation in either of those 2 far rooms. So there's kind of no easy answer to the heating and cooling situation in those offices. Richard is looking into spray foam insulation because that certainly would help. I'm not sure that would fix the situation entirely. So that's separate and apart from what Sean's going to talk to you about tonight, but at the same time, it's connected too, for sure, because depending on how you want to move forward with the heating situation, you could address the problem with those rooms at the same time, or you could budget to handle it differently. So there are everything's interconnected and lots of moving parts. So anyway, lots going on, but at least now you have a rebudget schedule in your email that you can look at. It is just my thoughts about how we would move money around based on my understanding about the projects that the board is interested in completing. It does include paving the overlay in Woods Run and River Road. There is still some money left in paving after you do that. It has CARES Act money, what we have that we could ask for as reimbursement money, fully coming out of the budget, funded in other areas. In any case, So there's money in departments if you want to. I didn't touch money in departments except for fire that told me that he was going to zero out those lines. And then with police, I did let the board know what was left in those salary and retirement lines because we are down a full-time officer, because I know that you are interested in that. If you are going to use those budget dollars, I don't think the chief knows that you would necessarily be taking those dollars out of his department. He may have other things in mind for that. So it's my effort at showing you what's going on with the town finances. But if you are going to, continue to take those dollars away from the departments where I suggest that you say that to department heads at the next meeting so that they're aware of that and not making other plans with those funds.
I agree. Okay. I'm gonna just go back a little further about recreation. I think we need to
Sorry about that.
I think we need to seriously put them on notice that if they can't get any more help, then we need to suspend the program until they can, because it's a lot of work, especially towards the beginning of it, if we are able to have Raleigh again. It's a lot of work, and there's not enough people right now. And if you're potentially losing more, it's not going to be enough people to do the job, and it's not going to be done right, and it's going to be a mess. So that's my opinion. But being on there for going through ups and downs and stuff with this group, they need to get some help. I don't know if we need to put a really strong plea for assistance out there one more time. I don't know, but we need to do it. And if we can't get more help, then we'll have to suspend the program until they do get more help. I don't know what else to say. It's a lot of work for 2 or 3 people. So.
Do you want me to send out a notice to that effect? I don't want to say that if the whole board isn't really on. I can certainly put out a message to that effect if that's what the board wants.
Paul, I would like to hear Paul's opinion.
I don't disagree with Denise.
Okay. All right.
It's horrible news from Mike, but he had taken the bull by the horns to run it, and I don't know if he's going to be able to now.
I know. You're losing potentially someone who was a very strong organization and everything that was, or temporarily lose, but for the next coming year for sure. So that scares me, to be honest, because we have to have someone who's going to really take it. Miles, do you have an opinion on it?
So this would be a message to the current rec committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, because they're the same. I mean, there's
Yeah.
more people gone than there is coming on board.
So I'm just wondering what the intent is to get them to rally people to join.
Well, I think that's been the message for the last.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely has.
Yeah.
Well, so my thought, or where I thought Denise was going with this, is I could put another message out through the email list, letting the public know that Camp Raleigh and the Recreation Committee are at risk of not continuing again if new members don't step up. And that would go to the town website. It would go out via email, but then the committee can have that message and put it on their Camp Raleigh Facebook page or something. And
perfect.
Yeah, that's my saying, one more big push to get them to come forward. And if they get the help, I'm great about continuing the program. So, but I think we just need to put that one more strong message out.
Agreed.
Okay.
You okay with that, Miles?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. Where are we? Okay, we're on, policy development, personnel, policy, holidays.
So holidays was, just before I brought up about all this about vacation time, it was the last conversation the board had about the personnel policy, which was the transfer station's request to change how their employees receive holiday pay. So that's in the personnel policy. It's up to you whether or not you want to take on the whole policy, or you can just take on sick, vacation, and holidays, or, whatever you think is a digestible amount before you need to move on to something else.
Is the transfer station employees are the only ones that are paid differently with holidays than anybody else?
No.
They could tell, who else is paid differently? Who
There
else does
are-
not get a full holiday pay for a holiday?
There are 2 part-time employees in the town hall who work more on some days than other days. So they also, right now, so they are also not getting compensation for all the time they would work on that day when there's a holiday on that day.
I've never heard of such a thing. I really, I really have not heard of such a thing. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I just think that someone should get, and they shouldn't get more pay than what they
Right.
work, but they should get the pay that they're, they work in 4 hours, then they should get the 4 hours. If it's a holiday, if they work 6 hours, and they should get 6 hours on holiday. If they work 6 hours, they certainly shouldn't get 8. That
Right.
wouldn't-
Oh, agreed. So, you said there was 2 people. Is it because they chose to work more hours on a given day because that's the best day for them to do more hours versus, because Mondays are clearly your most common holiday, except for like Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Is
there are
that-
certainly holidays on other days, but Monday is the heavy holiday day of the week. One of them has temporary hours, and due to having temporary hours until we are open up to the public, has more hours on a Monday because that person chose to change their schedule around.
Okay.
The other person isn't necessarily in every day and has a consistent schedule whereby they work 10 or so hours on a Monday. So that's just every Monday, and they come in later in the week and work a different number of hours on different days, but Monday just happens to be a heavy day.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know how to address that. I don't know. Is there any solution you guys think of?
The only thing I'd say about the person that does it 10 hours on Monday, because it's their choice. If it fell on a holiday, they should probably get paid 8. They get paid for the holiday, but not anything extra.
Yeah, I would agree for sure on that. The only other thing is if there's certain scenarios and they work different hours on different days and it's not the same amount of hours every day, could you divide the amount of hours that they have by 5 and have that be what the holiday would be? Then it doesn't matter.
That's the current transfer solution.
That's currently what happens, which is the problem with the transfer station, is that they work 3 days in a week. So if you take the 16 hours that they work in a whole week and you divide it by 5, then you get 3.2 is like 1 day's worth of work. Like, if a work week is 5 days, you divide it by 5 and they get 3.2 hours for a holiday.
Okay. So they're not working more than any other day. They're just working. Are they working more every other day of the week, or is it the same amount of hours every day of the week?
Well, that's an interesting point. So right now they're just getting 3.2 hours for the holiday. They're closed, and every other day is a normal day. But you could allow them to, work extra hours in that same week to compensate for the fact that they were closed, to make up the remaining 2.8 hours. I suppose that's a way to handle it, which isn't really very different from the person who works 10 hours, you know, like if that person's going to get 8 hours, then he can work 2 extra hours some other time
Right.
to
Another
make
day.
up for it, you know.
I don't want to pay someone overtime to get the holiday pay that everyone else is getting, like an 8-hour day.
Well, it's not overtime. It's not like time and a half, because you have to get over 40 hours in a work week to get overtime. So it's not overtime.
Okay, it's a work week versus a day.
Correct.
Okay.
We're on a
Okay.
work week.
Okay. I don't know how to solve this.
Yeah, it's tricky.
So, all right. So what is the average an 8-hour day for a holiday? Is that what the average people are getting?
Well, yes. I mean, most full-time people, you know, work an 8-hour day. Highway people work 10 hours in the summer. They work 4 10-hour days. So there's that. But then part-time people are variable. So, you know, depending on their job. So it's really, for part-timers, it's just office personnel and transfer station. There aren't, those are the only ones who are qualifying for
So
holidays.
what if we said this, and this is just an idea: full-timers get 8 hours paid holiday, part-timers get 4. If you work more than 4 normally, then you can work the extra hours later in the week, but you get 4 hours of holiday time.
I think that's fair,
Sounds good to me.
and it's consistent.
4 or
Then-
5 or whatever the number is.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
it's
got you.
consistent.
So
I mean,
then you have the opportunity to make up the time if you wanted to work the next 4 days, an hour each of those to make up for the difference. But
What-
it's across the board. It's not just picking on a department that doesn't work straight hour type thing. I don't know.
I mean, we can think about it.
Yeah, let's leave it on there and let's think about it and maybe come up with some scenarios. I don't think it's fair that someone loses money
Right, I don't either. Because
to
there's a
have
holiday?
because of a holiday. That's what I'm totally against that. But if someone chooses to work, and most holidays are on Monday, chooses to work, like say 10 hours on a Monday, but only 4 on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that is also not fair on the holiday side of it, you know?
Right.
But if they had the opportunity where they could make it up if they wanted to, then that at least, this is a tough one. It really is. I don't want anyone to lose. All right, Paul, what do you think?
I think it's exactly what Miles said. Is for the full timers that do 40 hours, they get 8. For the part timers, they'll get 4. And if it falls somewhere like the normal person does 5 or 6 on that day, then they can just make up those 2 hours during the week or 1 hour during the week. And leave it at that and try not to make it more complicated.
Yeah.
I think that's what we should do.
Caroline, do you think that will introduce problems or solve problems?
I
Some of
think
each.
it's better than what people currently have. I guess the only comment I have is, so if you work a total number of, all right, so 4 hours is great if you are a 50% employee.
Yeah.
But if you are a 60% employee, then you would be entitled to 6 hours under the normal circumstances. Like right now, under the current policy, you'd get 6 hours because you're a 60% employee. So now that person would have 4 hours? Or
Okay.
is it a minimum of 4 hours? Like here, you know, we'll keep the policy the way it is currently written, you know, divide by 5, total number of hours, divide by 5, but you will receive a minimum of 4 hours. And that way, at least you're bringing up people on the bottom end of the earnings for the holiday
Yeah.
pay.
That sounds more fair.
That sounds more fair.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so I will send you all, I'll work on the language in the personnel policy to revise it in that way and send it along, and I'll redline it so you can see the changes, and then we can have something to talk about for the next meeting.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. I think we're on the right track though.
Yep.
I think
That's progress, thank you.
it's progress. Okay. Very good. All right, I see Sean is with us.
Hi,
Do we
Sean.
want to go back to town hall heating options? Is that where he's going?
Hi,
Yeah.
sorry to be late.
That's
Okay.
okay.
So
Okay.
I've been working with Caroline a little bit to explore heating options for the town hall. And there's basically 3 options that you guys have. And there's a couple of things that are going to be needed to be dealt with irregardless. The chimney is disintegrating from the inside out. So even if the board decides not to do anything with the furnace this year, the chimney is going to need a liner. We took the pipe from the furnace to the chimney off, and it is full all the way to the top of that connection with debris from the inside of the chimney. So in a very short amount of time, you could have CO backing up into the town hall, which would affect everybody. It's also cracked on the outside near that thimble, so that'll need to be repaired. I did get a quote just to line it and to repair it, and it's going to be around $3,200 just for that work. The other issue that will need to be addressed right away is the vent for the existing 2 oil tanks is directly next to the air intake for both the furnace and the makeup air for the entire building. The problem with that is that every time the oil is filled, all of the fumes from those tanks go into the town hall, into the police department, and it doesn't meet code. Code says that it has to be 24 inches away from any air intake. So those 2 things, irregardless of what we do, we need to fix that. The basic 3 options that you have, and I'll kind of give you an order of magnitude. You can replace the existing furnace. It's a 643,000 BTU furnace, and that would be $45,000. You can go with a propane furnace. It would actually be 2 boilers, and that would be about $55,000. The third option is you could go to what they call mini splits or heat pumps, and that would probably be in the neighborhood of $75,000. So those are the high level. Each of them has advantages and disadvantages. If you go with the propane option, you don't have to do the chimney work. You don't have to change all of the venting. You get rid of all the oil tanks that are in the basement, and it's much more efficient than the oil is. Every time the oil furnace fires, so anytime there's a call for heat in any one of the 7 zones that are in the town hall, the furnace runs 5 months. The difference with propane is that it modulates. So if only a small section needs heat, it actually senses what the water returning to the furnace temperature is, and it's able to turn up and down to keep that at a consistent temperature for the heat that's needed. So it's a more efficient heat. The third option with the mini splits everywhere gives you individual control in each one of the offices. The downside is it's a lot more intrusive, meaning a lot more work would need to be done to the inside of the building. It also means that with the lack of insulation, it's probably going to be an expensive option. And from the conversations that I've had, it would run a lot just to heat the building. So I'm happy to answer questions. I don't have all of the quotes back. I will tell you that of the 7 companies now actually that I've contacted, 2 have come out and looked at it and said that they're not interested in bidding. 2 said that they weren't even interested in bidding to start with. And then I'm awaiting quotes for the other 3.
Why aren't they interested? Is it because it's a big old building or a complicated system?
So it's a complicated system. It's a very tight area. The furnace is going to have to come in pieces, which makes it much more risky for the installers to do if they go with an oil furnace. It would come in 6 individual pieces and have to be put together. They could put that all together, put water to it, and have to take it all apart and do it all over again. So it's a very intensive process.
What is the advantage of going to propane? Is it smaller, a smaller furnace?
Yeah, so it's a smaller furnace, and it's actually 2 small units that work in connection with each other. So basically there's 2 300,000 BTU furnaces that work together, and only one will fire if only part of the building needs heat. And they actually are smart enough that one will work this week, the other one will work the next week, which gives you more longevity out of the solution. And when nobody's at the town hall overnight and we're just heating the police department, we call for a lot less heat than, you know, when we're heating the entire day when everybody's in all of those offices.
Okay. Go ahead. Who said Sean? Did someone say Sean?
Nope.
No. Oh, okay. Sean, on the 2 complicated offices at the end of the hall, because of the installation and there's issues with those offices, would, until we can afford to, insulate thoroughly, would electric baseball, baseboard heat work in there temporarily?
I would have to look at the offices again to make sure that there's actually a place that you could put them on the wall. Because those would mount on a wall. Usually it's on an exterior wall. You'd also have to get electric to those units.
Mm-hmm.
And in those outside walls, it could be a little bit difficult to do, not impossible, but a little bit more difficult. It would absolutely help you with the heating issue. I don't know that it's going to help you with the cooling issue, obviously.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
You know, the other thing on the mini split solution, the 2, I'll call them, they're 5-ton units, the 2 5-ton air conditioner that cool the second floor are actually very old. 25 years old. They have an old type of refrigerant that's no longer currently supported, nor are there parts readily available for those units. So at some point, those are going to need to be replaced as well. Just as you're considering all of your options, these are all of the different conversations that we've had to
No,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I think you were going in and out. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you talking. Go ahead.
No, so what I was going to say is you have options where you, instead of just putting a traditional air conditioner, you could put a heat pump in place of those air conditioners and get yourself some of the shoulder season where you could use the more efficient heat pumps for both heat and air conditioning and save your furnaces from running. Or just another option down the road if you decide to either go with the gas or oil furnaces.
Now you'd have to install one of those big propane tanks like you have at the fire station, right?
Yes.
And that would go in the fire police department, one of the parking spots at the police department.
Exactly. We'd look at putting it in that back corner.
Yeah.
And then they do a cut in the driveway and actually install the pipe underground.
And that you'd only need one, or do you need more than one?
So you'd only need one for the furnace heat. The separate issue of the generator, they're talking about putting 4 smaller tanks right next to where the generator sits today. for propane for that generator.
Okay. Caroline, how much money do we have put aside for the new furnace?
You are limited with the warrant article authority to $25,000, but you can certainly choose to supplement that with additional funds found in the operating budget if you wanted to.
Oh, we
So-
don't have 50,000 of additional funds to
Right.
fund
Well,
it.
I'm just saying, right. I mean, you guys decide how much money you want to reallocate, but you have $25,000 to use before you have to find money in the operating budget to do something more.
Good.
So the 25,000 has to be done this year or it doesn't happen, right? Because we
Have to
rolled
put
it
back in the
over for
warrant.
a year, right?
Right.
Because it was a warrant article. So we can't, after this year, we can't use it. So,
Right.
so would it be best to forego that and create a whole new warrant article for the whole plan for the town hall?
I would say it depends on what you all decide. Once Sean has quotes and he tells you what they are, and I mean, you have you have ballparks now for how much this is going to cost, and you can be thinking about it. And keep in mind what he's saying about repairing the chimney too, and those things. So you can you can choose to use the $25,000 now and find money in the operating budget, but if you can't find money in the operating budget to do what you think is the best solution, then I would encourage you to not do anything except for whatever immediately needs to be done with the chimney, and then and then put a whole new different article on the warrant for the appropriate amount of money to do what you think is the better thing.
And we can't use it, some of the 25,000 for the chimney repair. It has to be furnace. It has
It
to
says
be a
replace the
furnace.
boiler. It says replacing the boiler. So yeah, if you're not going to replace the boiler, I think you could make an argument for fixing the chimney as part of that full operation, but I don't think you could use it for doing the chimney when you're not also going to be replacing the boiler.
But we would, but we don't have the money now. I mean, I think the intent would be that if you're going to replace or fix the chimney, the goal is to next year maybe do that, but you won't be able
right,
to do it.
But the authorization and those funds are for repair, like replacing so I
Okay.
wouldn't do just the chimney with those funds and then wait and do, the replacement with different funds, because I think that's not the intent of that warrant article. That I don't think that would be allowed.
I agree. Sean, I'm sorry, again, can you tell us what it costs to do the repair of the chimney?
So about $3,500.
That's with the sleeve and the repair, would you say with there's a hole in it or something? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's cracked.
Okay,
So there's what's called a thimble, which is where the furnace connection goes into the actual chimney.
okay,
The brick are all cracked, so that would need to be repaired, and then a liner would need to be put down. It's roughly 80 feet. They'd have to get a 100-foot lift in to get to the top of the chimney to access it, to put that in. So it's not a easy, 30-foot roof like the fire station or your house.
Yeah.
It's a significant thing.
right,
Just a couple of other things to consider. Right now, the expansion tank to the furnace is shut off. Nobody knows why it's shut off, but every time the furnace fires, there's a high likelihood that the pressure relief valve on the furnace is going to go off and put water all over the floor, because there's no way for the expansion of water to go anywhere. And, nobody's comfortable just turning it back on without trying to figure out why Townsend shut it off. So we'd also need to research that, and it could be related to the fact that the hole blew in the side of the furnace that they brazed. So it could be, related to the furnace failure.
All right. So propane sounds like it's the most efficient and probably the better way to go, in your opinion?
If I was to do it in my house, that would probably be the way that I would go in this case. I have mini splits in my camp and I love them. I just think with the lack of insulation, it could be detrimental and you could end up with huge power bills because those units could be running all the time.
Yeah. Okay. So if we went propane, we wouldn't have to do the liner?
Correct.
Is that correct? But I mean, it's still cracked. I mean, we still have to, would it be advisable to still do the liner and the repair? Because it's
No.
not going to be hooked up to anything?
It's
So you
not
don't
going to
have,
be,
it's
right.
going to be cosmetic only. It's just going to be there and that's it. It doesn't have serve a purpose other than that, right?
right.
Okay.
The other issue, just to kind of paint the whole picture, right now the clean out door for that chimney is directly behind the furnace, meaning that you can't access it with the furnace there. Even if we go with a different furnace, it'll be a little bit smaller, but it's not going to fully rectify that situation. Going with the propane furnaces, they would be mounted to the wall in a much smaller footprint.
Good.
So it does, it provides another solution there as well.
Do we know who installed that furnace? Was it Townsend? Or don't we
I
know?
would assume it is, but I really don't know.
There can't be any recourse for that? I mean,
that was like 25 years ago, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't
at this
that long
point, it was
ago?
so long ago.
well,
Yeah.
it wasn't Townsend then, it was Borderline.
Townsend.
It would have
Yeah.
been borderline, but Townsend would inherit whatever liabilities and warranties and everything, but I still think it's probably too old to have any warranties.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for all this good news.
I feel like that's all I bring you guys lately is
Holy mackerel. All right. Miles or Paul, any?
So, I'm gonna say last year, and it might not have been last year when we decided to push the boiler a year. Townsend kind of gave that furnace not exactly a clean bill of health, but they said this could last another 5 years. So I don't think it's urgent. We definitely need to keep thinking about it. But like you said, Denise, we don't have 50 grand that we can go and grab.
But I don't think we have 5 years either, Miles.
No, I don't think it's 5.
The exhaust is going into the building.
Yeah, that's all wrong. Yeah.
That's not that, or what is it? Carbon monoxide? What is it, Sean?
yes, carbon monoxide.
Also been
I mean-
happening for 25 years.
Well, we're very lucky that we haven't had a lot of sick employees, honestly. I mean, now that we know
Yeah.
that we have to act responsible,
Oh, yes.
Well,
I
and
mean,
Sean, is that a fire hazard, the way that it's as clogged as it is?
Yeah, I couldn't in good faith let you turn that furnace back on. I do have it off by the emergency switch. And with the chimney and the condition it is, we can't turn it back on until that's fixed.
so if we're going to stay status quo, we're gonna fix the chimney
At very least, like I said, you have
at
to
the very least.
fix the chimney, you have to fix the oil vent, and you have to fix the expansion tank that's no longer working.
And nobody knows why. So
Right.
we could have a flooded police department if we don't do something on that.
Right,
Right.
because every time the heat kicks on, the only place for the water to expand is out the pressure relief valve out of the top. And if that fails, then the furnace could explode. That's that's there for.
Okay, so who is willing to do work on this furnace?
So Strojan's, Joy's HVAC are the two that are willing to do the oil furnace. Those two companies plus P. Gagny are willing to do propane. And so those are your three options.
Okay.
Contacted
I've only,
Martell's, J&S. I have a whole list of people that I've contacted that I can get the name.
I've only heard of Strojan's. I haven't heard of the other one before.
I think we're leaning, I mean, obviously when we go, we're gonna probably lean towards propane. So it's unfortunate we have to put, another $5,000 into doing this, but if we have to do it to get through the winter, I guess that's what we gotta do, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think the only thing to say there is I can't promise that it's only going to be $5,000.
No, I know. That was ballpark.
And if you look at it as $5,000, you could look at it as, say, 25 less from whatever amount we're looking at, so that in actuality you're looking at 30 or 20 for the two solutions.
Okay.
So now you're looking at, do you spend 10 to 15 more now for the right solution versus, spending 5 that you don't get back?
Right.
And that's obviously that's 100% up to the board, and I'm more than happy to, march however you guys would like me to. The other way that we may be able to save some money in the short term is there's circulator pumps that are also 25 years old that are on the current furnace. We could hold off replacing those until January, February, and that would save 10-ish of that quote. It's not recommended. They're 25 years old.
Yep.
Usually you replace your circulator pumps when you do your furnaces, but if the board's looking to get that number closer, that would be an option.
Can you just say that again, Sean? I'm sorry. So splitting up essentially the furnace and the other components.
Yeah,
there's cost.
Yeah, there's two huge circulator pumps.
Okay.
So off of the furnace, there's a 3-inch copper line that goes to 2 circulator pumps that actually distribute all of the water to the different air handlers throughout the building.
Gotcha.
Normally you would replace those as part of replacing the furnace, but you could look at doing it in, I'll call it 2 phases.
Yep.
It probably would cost you a little bit more to do it later because you'd have some piping rework, but
yeah,
I'm just trying to give you options, and I would obviously have to find that possible with.
Yeah, but I mean, knowing that, it almost makes it workable. We've got 25 from CIP. If we're gonna spend 5, we would really only need to come up with another 10 to do it right. It gives us more flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives us what? Another oil furnace or another propane one? Or a propane? Which one are we going to have?
So I know for sure we can do it with the oil furnace. I'll have to check on the propane furnace to see if we can do the same thing. Like I said, it would make it 45 and 35. So you're looking at, 10 or 20.
And being the propane versus oil, staying with oil.
So oil would be, 10 now, propane would be 20 now.
Okay.
10 now plus 5 for the chimney. So 15 or 20.
The chimney's in that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good to know.
Do you have anything written down that I can comprehend better if I'm reading it, or do you not?
I will send it all to you. I was hoping to have quotes. I asked everybody to have quotes to me, and I've only gotten one of the 6 quotes.
Oh, that's okay. You don't have to do it right now, but just, I'm sorry, there's just so much to comprehend right now. My head is spinning.
Yep.
And
I will type up
I'm
an
getting
email.
confused.
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
type up an email and send it to the entire board and cover all
Yeah.
of it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's so much.
Agreed.
I've probably
Oh.
spent 24 hours down at the town hall in the last week and a half, so I completely
I've
understand.
heard that. I appreciate that so much, Sean, as well,
Yeah,
for
thank you,
helping
Sean.
out in this. That goes beyond the call for sure. So yeah, if you could just kind of like put the real important points of the differences between the two. Certainly, the recommendation of the fire department, what they would like to see more so than anything, and what absolutely has to be done right away because of problems
Yeah.
that are there that we're not really sure 100% of what they are, and that's concerning.
Yeah, the
So-
last thing that I would mention is I think you should consider losing a parking spot at the town hall out front. So right now, if you're looking at the front of the town hall, there's a great big silver vent panel, and there is a parking space directly in front of it.
Yeah.
If you look most days, there's a car backed right up to it. And
Yeah.
that is your fresh air intake for the building.
Yeah.
So if you had somebody that parked there and was running their vehicle that wasn't tuned right, they're pumping CO right into the building.
Okay. Well, maybe we can ask George to put one of those Jersey barriers over there temporarily until we figure out what's going on so they don't park there.
That's a good idea.
I don't know. It's a
Chuck.
thought.
It
is?
It happens to be Chuck that's parking there, but
Yeah.
it's a public parking spot.
Yeah.
So,
So it
in
could be
reality,
anybody.
it's actually good that he's parking there because it prevents somebody else from sitting there and idling.
True.
But
But we should block it for anyone who would be there. So maybe we can figure out, or have the highway department figure out how we can block that spot temporarily until we know what's going to happen and what we have to do.
Talk to George about that.
yeah, I was just gonna
Okay.
say, I can talk to George or Caroline if you want to, that's fine, whatever. The board-
Perfect. All right. So the sooner, we can get that taken care of too, just so nothing else, no other problems exist. All right. Any other further questions for Sean?
Nope. I just want to say thanks again, Sean.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you, Sean.
So I have one last request for the town, and this goes back to the fire department. I don't know if Chief Rutherford mentioned it to you or not. One of the issues that we're having is we currently have one email that everybody kind of shares.
Thank you for
Fire-
mentioning that. He didn't say that, so thank you.
Okay, so it's fire@rollinsford.nh.us. The challenge with that is with 3 of us checking it, if mail is directed to one of us and somebody else inadvertently checks it,
Yep.
it leads to an issue where we miss things like quotes, knowledge, all of those things. So I would request, if we could, adding 2 more so that each of the command staff has their own email. In talking with Caroline, it sounds like we have one unused account currently that is for a rec person that we're not appointing right now given COVID, but it would be a net increase to the IT operation budget. And Caroline, I don't know if you recall the number or not.
It's $12 a month per account per month. So it wouldn't be very much money from now to the end of the year, particularly because like Sean said, we only need, to meet his request, we only need to get 1 new user because we can temporarily, we can just reassign the rec user to the fire department. All the data that happened under the rec user goes to me. So they get a clean account. And then when we need one later for a rec user, then you can approve that at that time. So it does make it, permanently reassigned to fire, but it does reduce the cost now for 2 new accounts because it really only needs to be 1 new account.
Okay, but that, they're not, it's gonna get rid of all of the association with rec. So they're not gonna get all of rec stuff.
Correct. It'll have a new name. It won't have any of the data or anything. It's just, you know, a shell, so to speak.
So you have one, you'll get rec, and we're gonna pay another one. So you're gonna have the 3 that you're looking for. And that's for your 3 chief officers, is that what that's for?
So there'll be 1 general and then 3 chief officers.
Well, that's 4.
Right, we have 2 today, so.
Oh,
Chief
you have 2
Russell
today.
has 1 today, we have 1 general, 1. This would allow us to keep the general 1 and have each of the command staff have their own.
Okay, so it's your 3 chief officers and your, and 1 general one.
Yes.
Okay. And so in order for not people to go into them, you obviously have them password protected or something, right? I mean, you don't want them still to go into your accounts.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to get into any of the chief. The only people that can get into the general one are the officers
Okay.
and the command staff.
Okay. All right. I don't have a problem with that. Paul, Miles.
Nope, I have no problem with it.
So it's only
Same.
going to cost us an additional 1 because, and reallocate rec to fire. So it goes not to the rec account, but to the fire account. And do they have a account in their budget? How does that work?
So all of technology, well, I say all, but all the Google accounts come out of the executive IT hardware software line. So this would too. More and more, we're trying to like centralize things that have in common. It is still true that police and fire do some of their own technology in their own budgets, but support staff time for Tom LaBelle comes out of that line. If any of the executive, if any of the administrative offices needs a new computer or software or something like that, it comes out of that line. So like I said, Google comes out of that line. So it's not really going to hit the fire department. It's just going
Oh,
to.
Google accounts. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Perfect. All right. That's fine. So we can cover that 1 extra account. I don't think that's for the rest of the year for sure.
That's
Right.
$28.
You just have to know that you don't have an account for rec anymore. So when you hire somebody for rec and you want them to have an account, then it doesn't exist anymore. And we're going to have to get a new account for them.
Well, we'll put that in 2021's budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're not going to have one from now till December. We know that. So we'll just go ahead and make sure that we put that in their budget or in our budget to account for that for 21. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you're all set then, Sean, for that as well.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. It will make things much easier.
Okay. So, is your installation all done with the wiring? Because you're still going in and out. I didn't know if you knew that. You're freezing.
I shouldn't be freezing. I'm muting and people are walking in. The command car just got back, so.
Well, your face it's solid. I mean, so you were freezing.
It's much better though.
It's much better. Now you're freezing. Well, you're freezing now.
It's interesting because you guys are not freezing at all.
Okay. All right. But so everything's operational then, is what you're saying.
Yes.
That was put in. Okay. You're definitely much better. It's just that you were freezing a couple of times where we couldn't hear you talking, and so.
Okay. No, that's good to know. We do have a very antiquated Comcast line here. So we're not getting a lot of speed out of the actual Comcast line. So I can work with Comcast to try to get that better.
Okay.
We're getting less than 8 meg upload, and we should be getting 3 times that.
Oh, okay. All right. I just wanted to let you know.
I appreciate that.
Anything
Sean,
more for?
I'm sorry, Sean, maybe you and I can talk about the Comcast situation offline another time. I have a contact for you.
Awesome.
Okay. Anything else for Sean, Miles, or Paul?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Thanks again for all your help, Sean. It is greatly appreciated. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Have a
Sean.
good night. Okay. So we were
we were good. We're at community input, right?
I just want to say before you're getting ready to adjourn, I don't think you approved the consent calendar at the beginning of the meeting.
Oops, I think
Oh,
you're
the
right.
Where is the consent calendar? I thought we
top.
did. No?
I don't think we did. I'll move that we approve
right, we
the
didn't.
consent calendar as
And I will
presented.
second that.
Okay. Miles,
Yes?
Paul,
Yes.
Denise, yes, that is done. So do we have any community input? Hearing none, moving on. And do we
Wait. I
Oh,
just
goodness.
turned my
Wait.
microphone on. I was going to say something about the minutes, but you beat me to it. But when you put out the notice for the rec committee asking for help, you're going to have to be a lot more specific as to what kind of help, because people are going to they really don't understand what you're asking. Like, what are the different tasks that you're looking for help?
That's a good point.
Yep.
Should I or Paul maybe contact Mike and kind of discuss what he feels that they need? And
Sure.
Caroline, you go as well. Just and kind of put a list of what needs, but it's a lot about bodies, though. It really is, especially when you're trying to, but also it's about time commitment too. So so maybe you and Paul can work together, Caroline, and before the post goes out and to see. Okay, perfect. And talk to Mike. All right. Thank you, Salme.
Good thinking.
So we have no non-public, or is that really?
That's just a placeholder. There's nothing, there is no need tonight.
Okay, so are we ready to adjourn? Anything else? Comments okay, go ahead.
I'll move we adjourn.
Okay. Okay, so roll call. Paul?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
And Denise? Yes, we are adjourned at 8:56 p.m. Good night, everyone.
Thank you all. Good job.
Caroline, I will go down to the town hall and, it's 9 o'clock. I won't go tonight. I'll pop in tomorrow on my way home to pick up that stuff and sign it and then get it back to you.
Or I can, if you are going to work tomorrow and have a lunch break, I'm happy to meet you over there. There's this funny thing where every other Tuesday, which happens to be the same Tuesday of these meeting weeks, I have an appointment and I'm driving by there. And so I can, it's not a big deal to stop and meet you there and have you sign things.
Yep, just call me and let me know when you're going to approximately be there, and I should be there all day. And you can leave it and I can bring it back, or if there's not that much, I can sign them in the parking lot. Or
actually, that's a good idea. I can leave them with you, go do my appointment, and come back in 20 minutes and pick them up.
Yep, that will work.
Okay.
Just remember that Stackpole Road is closed, and so is you cannot go on Green Street. So go down Summersworth Road and go up that way, and come to there
all the way around. Okay.
Yep, because they're doing that water piping started yesterday.
Okay, so thank you for that, because I definitely would have gone the wrong way.
Yeah, I have to write myself a note. Don't go Clement Road. It's habit, it's just what I do.
Autopilot, yes.
So yeah, I'm there till 4:30. So
okay, fantastic. All right.
Well, have a good night, people.
You too. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. I wonder how you shut this off.